Live? Live.
They said you need to do the trial before the election happens. They do the trial.
Later on in this video, I'm going to do a YouTuber's recommendation segment. Where I'm just going to recommend a whole bunch of cool YouTubers that I think you should check out. That guy will be one of them. I feel like I've been deep in character mode lately doing all these streams, so I wanted to get a little bit more. Oh, I'm hearing myself. I was like, why the fuck am I, what is this voice I'm hearing? It's me. I have myself open in another tab. Okay. Cool, well I know how it sounds now. I meant to have chat open over here too. Should be, is nobody in the chat yet? Here we go, live chat on the screen. Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to get a little bit more leveled, you know, talk about what's going on in more straightforward terms so that everybody's on the same page and you have a clear, people are always, says I have 0 people watching. Am I actually live? Am I truly here? When I see the 0, it makes me think, wait a minute, something's wrong. How could there was somebody there before and now there's nobody there? I'll wait. I hear myself again. I'm not supposed to be hearing myself. Wow, that's actually a pretty cute behind shot of me. I didn't expect. Okay, no more of that playback. See, I know Gary always left a comment in the chat, but I don't see it here. Would it be at the bottom? I do. Yeah, okay, it's down here. Yeah, of course. Okay, there we go. That's how it's supposed to look. Okay. Can you read that? No, not really. Damn it. I want it to be big enough to be readable. I can only go up to 500%. Well, at least I'll be able to read it when I look back. When I'm sitting over back here. So, I've been doing hella live streams. Hella live streams. Because I've been making a lot more money doing it than I have been making doing anything else that I've done in the last few years. I kind of figured this would be the case. I was planning to become a full-time live streamer at the end of last year. And what's up, yo? AL so you. I was planning to go full-time into live streaming at the end of last year. I had that Comments on Comments show I did a few episodes of that I do plan to bring back. But the meta of live streaming is kind of like just do it as much as humanly possible if you really want to make money. Like you're pretty much rolling the dice on somebody wants to super chat you something, and that person has to stumble upon you. Like, so every time I live stream, there's a chance somebody sees I'm live and goes, oh snap, Trixie's live, and then as they're listening to it, they go, oh, you know what? There's something I wanted to talk about, and they send a super chat. So basically, that's the monetization strategy of live streaming. It kind of relies on people continually noticing that you're live. Like if people, if you initially start off with like a certain number of people and then that diminishes over time and nobody new shows up, then there's, you know, it doesn't continue to roll the dice on people maybe donating. So what's so powerful about this vertical streaming system is that you will pop up in the feed as a result of just somebody thumbing through. They don't have to click on a thumbnail and decide like, or you know, read the title and thumbnail and decide, oh, that sounds interesting, and go click on it. It just opens in front of them. And so if I happen to be interesting at that very moment, which is something I'm good at, just happening to be interesting when you stumble upon me, then there's a greater chance that somebody's going to pay me. So this is the most like immediate active way to make direct audience transactions, and it makes me a lot more comfortable because I don't like conceptual stuff where like you pay me for something I have to do later, or like just paying me in like a more abstract form for the worth of something. It's like you're literally just paying to say words that I will read and then I respond to them. It's just so straightforward. I love it. So I knew this was going to come, that I was going to end up being a live streamer of some form, but I didn't realize how much this format was going to benefit me until I saw it with my own eyes, So I've been doing a lot of this particularly because it's fast money and I need the money right now. It's not that this is the only thing I would ever want to do or that it's necessarily my favorite thing to do in the whole world creatively or for YouTube. There's other stuff. I still have the We Watch Anime channel. I still have a Patreon connected to that. I still have my Substack. I still have all the stuff that's on my Linktree that I'm still worried about. But particularly for this month, because I am so incredibly broke, I've just been trying to make as much money before the month is over as humanly possible. It's been working out really well. We've made, I say we, I've made, because of all of you, like $1,500 this month through Super Chats. I don't see any of that money until June 22nd. So until then, I'm still broke as fuck. The little bit of money that I made on the 22nd of this month from last month's Super Chats and ad revenue, which was like $200, $220, something like that, got swallowed up by a combination of Google storage. I have $100 Google storage that pulls out once a year, and it just so happened to pull out this month. And then something else I had to spend $100 on, I think. I can't remember. And then there was also my phone bill. So I had to borrow money just to have enough money in the bank that my phone bill would not bounce my bank account this month. That's why I'm trying to make so much money so quickly and live streaming so incessantly. But it is so lucrative that if people keep encouraging me to do it, it's hard to imagine not continuing to live stream pretty consistently all the time. If I cut back, it's just going to be to get other stuff done. But I've also found that I can get a lot of stuff done on the live streams. I've been way more encouraged to actually edit my anime videos knowing that I can do it live. I've been more encouraged to do creative writing knowing that I can do it live, like on the Storytelling Snorlax stream. Sometimes those more creative streams don't make as much money because people don't want to like interrupt whatever I'm doing to ask me questions. So, in those cases, it is truly more of like a passion project, thing. It's like, well, this isn't just for the money. This is to have something else that comes out also that, is beyond just literally asking for money on live streams, like actual content, actual artistic content. But I can use the streams as a vehicle towards realizing that stuff as well. So yeah, it's hard to imagine me not doing a whole lot of streaming for as long as I keep making money doing it. If time starts going by and people aren't paying me, I'll just be like, oh well, I guess this isn't the way, anymore. Maybe it's just a fad. It's hard to say. It also depends on how much I grow. If I keep appealing to new people, and I've been taking a very scattershot approach to what I talk about on the streams. I pretty much spend the morning figuring out what's going on that's interesting to me, and then try to orient my stream towards that. So like if nothing is going on that's interesting at all, I kind of just go with whatever I've been thinking about, or like trying to start trouble with people who I think suck, like Jeremy the Quartering, or John Della Rose, or Maddox, like. So that's me, just like, okay, nothing's happening, so let's pick on people who just need to be picked on all the time, and then if something's happening, I will talk about that because it's relevant. But for the most part, my audience is very disconnected. It's people who are all over the world who have most of them have very like hobby centric worldviews, like people who are not paying attention to major events. So, you know, when I talk about major events, I always feel like I'm trying to bring new people to my channel more so than I am trying to speak to the people who are already there. Because the people who are already there don't give a shit at all. But the people who are already there also have such niche, bizarre taste that even I look at it and I'm usually like, okay, well, I wouldn't have anything to say about this. So, you know, I'm glad that everybody likes such weird shit in place of me having to. So, you know, my next big anime video I've been editing is the Jujutsu Kaisen versus Evangelion Storytelling Spirals video. I think it's going to be really fun. Editing it on stream has been awesome because people have been able to help me by giving me suggestions, figuring out how to edit it because it was a video I was very confused about how to edit going into it. So that's been nice. And then following that, I want to keep doing kind of bigger concept. You know, I wrote 24 videos. A lot of them are just kind of there to be, like, they're not meant to be mind blowing necessarily, and that doesn't seem to be hitting with people to do non mind blowing videos. You know, so I'm gonna try to focus on the scripts I have that I think are the most like new ideas, stuff that's going to get people talking, you know, stuff that might intrigue new people to the channel because I'm presenting ideas that haven't been brought up and are relevant, as opposed to just curiosities or things that I think are interesting and hope you would, you know, that don't seem to draw people in that much. Because I would have to get a lot of views on YouTube to make as much money from making quality content as I do streaming to 30 people and getting paid super chats to rant about whatever. So like it's again, I don't think this meta can necessarily last forever unless I grow really popular inside of this meta. But nonetheless, it for the time being, when I'm desperately in need of money, this is the go-to. And again, it leads to so much I can do on here where it's been easy for me to do music streams or writing streams, singing, karaoke, bullying streams. I can go outside, I can stay inside, you know, there's all kinds of stuff, possibilities. I've been really experimenting with the whole visual space, the layout of the streams and stuff. So, yeah, suffice it to say, I'm having a really good time doing this and feel like I could find my way towards pioneering something inside of this space, just through relentless attrition. I don't know if there's much else I need to explain. So that's it for the updates part of this video. Now it's Q&A. So if anybody's got anything they want to ask me, let me turn around and look at this screen, what people are talking about. Are you trans? Yes. Yes, I am very, very, very trans. Q&A hype. It's cool that you can game the YouTube Shorts thing with the vertical format. I'm not a YouTube Shorts user, so that's an interesting thing to hear. Yeah, me neither. So that's a part of the funny thing too, is that people kept telling me to get into Shorts, and I really struggle with it because I don't watch them very often. You know, I see them through Bird, so I kind of understand how people edit Shorts, but it's so random if one blows up or not. Whereas with the live streams, it's kind of like if you're subscribed to me and you're flipping through your shorts, YouTube will just push you these streams because it's like, hey, you're a subscriber and you're flipping through shorts. Maybe this live stream, you know? And I've had people tell me that, you know, in 30 minutes of scrolling, they came across my stream 5 times and eventually finally came and listened to it. So to me, that's like what YouTube is supposed to be good for, is discoverability. Like, the whole reason to use YouTube over other websites is that YouTube promotes your content. And so the fact that YouTube hasn't been promoting my content for years it's like, it makes me feel like if I went anywhere else, I could probably get the same number of views as I get on YouTube. It just wouldn't be convenient, and it wouldn't be any better. It would be like the same level. But if YouTube is actually doing something that really does put me in front of people 5 times in 30 minutes, then I'm like, holy crap, the website works again. You know? So that's fun. the stream stuff you're doing is interesting. I want to get into live streaming, and I'm trying to figure out a way to go about it. So it's giving me some stuff to think about. There's a million ways to go about it. Truly, I haven't seen a stream of yours live in several years. Come to think of it, I always ended up missing out. Lol. Well, glad to have you here. Sorry to keep giving you a shit ton of munners by accident. Never apologize for that. Do you have tips on how to do better analysis of anime or stories in general, like how to articulate yourself better when writing and pick up on more details when watching? I could do that as a rant. If you wanted to super chat it, I will give you an answer to that. That is a scary ass poster. Which one? Which poster? The democracy poster, where it's like all the companies, or the little baby Darth Vader over there. We can ask without super chats. I mean, some of you probably can. I thought it was so over when you retired. Is the it's the Disney logo, the Enron logo, the McDonald's logo, the AT&T logo, I think. No, actually, I don't know what the O is. Maybe it's an old Bank of America. It looks like a bank logo. I'm not sure what bank. The Coca-Cola C, the old Coca-Cola C, the Toys R Us R, Anheuser-Busch A, CNN C, and Yahoo Y. I don't think you can see all of it in this framing I've got here, but I don't feel like turning the camera around. I haven't watched you in years, but I'm about to start HRT, and your 2-hour Chris Chan / cousin rant popped my recommended. Listen to the whole thing in a daze. Sign from the universe. Must be. Yeah, that was one of my more powerful streams. So I think that stream is going to find its way to people for quite a long time. I literally lore dumped all of my involvement I've ever had in Chris Chan in any kind of tertiary sense in that stream, as well as told the story of my cousin's suicide and him owning a Chris Chan medallion, and how that is clearly a cursed object by all accounts. Justice with $2. Rant about improving one's analytical writing. Will do. Oh, Gary Always also with $2. Always knew it was a Miyazaki retirement. Yeah, I mean, the retirement was pretty much a meme from the start. I really truly wasn't sure I would post to this channel anything serious again, but I knew I was not really like retiring. It was more of a career reset button that I probably should, like, it was something I should have done instead of turning off my channel like a year, 2 years prior or whatever, when I deleted all my videos. I should have retired, made the channel an archive, made a new channel, and just started from scratch and told everybody this is where you find my content. I just was really afraid of giving up the 300K subscriber channel, and that was a mistake, because it wouldn't have lost its subscribers. It would have just stayed there stationary, having all of them, and I would have still had the clout of that channel to point to people. Big mistake. And I literally didn't tell anybody I was going to do that. I just did it. Nobody would have ever advised me to do that. Anyway, to answer that super chat, I made about improving one's analytical writing. Analyze the writing itself. Like, whatever you're writing, analyze the writing itself. Let's do some analytical writing. I know I had an idea earlier for a post. What do I want to type this on? So my laptop's all plugged into all this shit. Maybe I can, I'm not using the mic. Okay, I think this will be, yeah, this will work. Cool. This is great. Okay, so we're gonna do some analytical writing. I have to try to remember what my post idea was about earlier, because I didn't write it down or anything. Oh, it was about Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly. Fooly Cooly. I had an exact title in mind. A motherless boy's manhood. So where this analysis germ begins, this thought begins, is me thinking about Naoto's mom from Fooly Cooly and how I don't remember her even really being mentioned. Maybe his dad has like a throwaway line about his mom at some point. Maybe he says something. I don't remember them mentioning Naoto's mom. And it's one of those things where sometimes, like, if there's something that's not there, it's hard for it to feel obvious, but in hindsight it's like kind of a glaring omission, right? And like it's easy to kind of not think about it because anime so often has one of the parents gone that it just feels like a cliche or a trope. But I do think there's almost always some level of purpose in it. Like there's something it's meant to inform about the character. It doesn't have to be necessarily deep. But in the case of Fooly Cooly, which is like as dense as it could possibly be with like symbolism and meaning and that kind of stuff, it definitely matters that Naoto's mom is not there. And, I was thinking about how the way that women treat him in his life, like, he wants a mother's affection. He wants, like, to be just kind of cuddled and cared for and, like, entertained. Like, he wants a combination of what his big brother was and what his mom wasn't. Like a feminine version of his big brother is his expectation of what a mom would be. And like Haruka takes advantage of that because she immediately identifies him as a motherless boy. So she moves in to try to take up a mother position in his life, but gradually realizes that's not what he's looking for. He's looking for big brother. So she becomes big brother by way of mother for him. And then Mamimi, is sort of looking to be a mother figure, but she's not fit for it, and so because she's also trying to treat the thing she takes care of as like her own support, like she's trying to treat her child like it is supposed to be her husband, like it's supposed to take care of her in that way, and so, she is lost in her own journey towards womanhood, but yeah, all of that just came into my head earlier. So how do I make that into like a good analysis? Like I think the thoughts are all basically it started with just simply, hey, Naoto's mom's not in the picture. Do they ever really mention it? And then me thinking about what does the show say about mother? What do his relationships say about him as a motherless boy? What does the way that he interacts with women say about him being a motherless boy? So now I'm analyzing my own idea. Like I already explained all of it that I had. Everything that I've already thought of, I just explained. So if I'm going to turn that into a full script, I have to keep thinking through. All right, well, the first scene in the show is Naota and Mamimi on the bank of the river, and she's like cuddling. He's like laying in her lap, which is it's a very like motherly pose that she's doing until you realize that it's not him who wants this, it's her. She's insisting they have to do this or else she will overflow. And so it's in this weird position where it's like he does want this type of affection, but he doesn't like the reason she's doing it. She's not doing it for him. She's doing it for herself because she misses his brother, and he knows that. So like he wants that kind of he wants those affections, but he wants it to be because of love for like actual love for him for who he is that he doesn't get in that way because he doesn't have that motherly affection in his life. So that's me zeroing in on a scene that I can break down, and then I could literally go through every scene in the show if I wanted to, like in that way. Fooly Cooly is easy for me because I've seen it like fucking 20 times, so I do have the whole show kind of loaded into my brain. I haven't written anything down. I don't know why I thought I was going to in answering this question. I feel like I made my point just fine. At some point that would turn into a script, but actually doing that is basically, that's like its own process. It's not like do good analysis, it's like write good grammar. Write just writing well, you know, and that just takes practice. And like reading your shit back, like really read it back out loud to yourself. Everything you write, always read it back out loud to yourself, because your brain will skip over, like if you read your own writing, your brain will make sense of it for you. Like it will fill in the gaps because you do know what you're talking about. So you'll read it, and if something is wrong, you're like you'll reorder, like if words are out of order, your brain will reorder them if you're just reading it. But if you say it out loud, you'll notice something's wrong, you know, and then you'll go, shit, that actually doesn't make sense. Or, wait, does that really, like, if somebody said that to me, would I understand what they were talking about, you know? So that's how you get better at the writing aspect of it, I think. That was the last super chat I've seen. You put way more thought into Fooly Cooley than I've ever done? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, I've put a lot of thought into Fooly Cooley. And yeah, there are lots of people who think that Fooly Cooley is just a bunch of wacky nonsense. Like, they don't understand that there is depth to it. So they do think it's a turn your brain off show because they don't understand it. Jacob Wagner with $10. Thank you incredibly much. Rant about the character development in K-On! And the theme of friendship making you better. I've seen the whole show 5 times, and to me, girls seem mostly the same for the whole show. Interesting. Interesting take. I disagree, but I think a lot of the change happens quickly also, where like just between episodes 1 and 2 alone, Yui starts off presented as like unfathomably lazy. Like she's just drifting through the experience of school. She doesn't really care about getting good grades. The only reason she gets the only reason she has ever passed any class is that Nodoka-chan is studious and will sit her down and force her to cram until she can pass a test. That's the only thing that's ever gotten her through, is somebody else literally forcing her to do something. And so the show starts off with her kind of realizing that she's like a lazy nothing person and being like, what if I tried doing something? So she ends up joining the light music club because she thinks it's going to be easy. You know, she's just looking for like the laziest, easiest route into being being slightly less lazy. But as soon as she joins the club, even though they are kind of like fuck around people, when she realizes what it's going to cost to get a guitar and that everybody is willing to like help her towards that, it inspires her to try to work hard. And so they all end up getting a day job. They all actually do work, and like at the end of the day, she's really appreciative of all of them and tells them like, wow, you know, I didn't think I had this in me, basically. And you see her keep evolving in that way where they keep pushing her and causing her to bring out these latent talents where like, oh, it turns out Yui is kind of like a savant at something that she does set her mind to. So as long as they can get her to want to set her mind to things for the sake of other people, she will do great things. And we see her do a bunch of great things in terms of like the concerts and everything that she writes for the band, you know, like, well, I think Mio writes most of the lyrics and she just sings them. So mostly it's just, I think she does write it. Yeah, she wrote You and I, didn't she? I think Yui wrote You and I, which is like the most fucking heart wrenching song in the whole show. Or did they all write it together? Or am I thinking of the Angel song? I know that she at least co-wrote some of the music. But you see in all of them where like Ritsu is really pushy. She's just incredibly in your face. She wants what she wants. She's gonna keep arguing to get what she wants all the time. But in episode like 8 or 9 of the first season, when she hurts Mio's feelings, she realizes that like, oh, like I can't, like if I do this all the time, I'm going to push my friends away from me. And she has to learn how to pull back a little bit and be less, you know, in your face. And I think that her and Yui developed this dynamic where they realize that they can be like, I think their humor changes over the course of it, where they just kind of, they realize, both of them seemingly, that like like they don't have to be ashamed of being the idiot. Like I think in the beginning, Ritsu portrays herself as like she thinks she's a badass, and Yui is just kind of like ashamed of herself for being an idiot. And I think the two of them learn through each other how to accept that like we're the dumb ones. You know, I think because they're spending time together, they get to be the dumb ones together, and they don't hate themselves or hate that aspect of themselves. Like Ritsu's more willing to just be dumb, and Yui is more willing to accept being dumb and be open about being dumb and ask for help, and try at things. Mio massively comes out of her shell. She starts off being terrified of, most communication, pretty much. She's really afraid of getting on stage. She embarrasses herself the first time, so that makes her afraid of getting back on stage, and it's everyone's encouragement that gets her to do that. And Mugi is totally lacking perspective at all. It's a completely, cloud brain billionaire's daughter, an heiress who, like, we watch her literally learn how to be human. Like, we watch all of her understanding of what it means to be a person comes from the other characters, and she changes to, understand how to behave way more human-like by the end of the show. Azusa becomes less pretentious. Her main thing, or elitist, her thing is that she thinks she's amazing. Like, she grew up with like jazz musician parents. She's legitimately good at her instrument. And when she saw them perform live, she expected like a serious band. So when she joins the band and they're a bunch of goofballs, she's like disappointed. But simultaneously, she causes all of them to straighten up because they want to look cool for their juniors. So they all start working harder and start writing way better songs. And also, she like lightens up, she becomes more accepting of the humor of the band and not so much of a curmudgeon about it. Is there anybody I missed? Mugi, Ritsu, Mio, Yui, and Azusa. Yeah, so that's all 5 of them having a major shift. And most of that happens just within the first season. I would say the second season is more of like an unbelievably long end zone dance. Like, the first season is the character development and the story, and then the second season is like a slice of life show just to explore how great the chemistry of those friends is now that they do know each other. Because you gotta consider, the first season is 2 years. The second season is 1 year, but twice as long. So it's way more granular. It's way more like just spending time with the characters. And the growth is very subtle. It's more like they mature in little ways. They become a little bit more worldly, you start to see like in-jokes cropping up. You start to see just their communication become more natural to a level where it's like, yes, this is a group of friends, It's not like an establishing group of friends. It's a well-established group of friends, for most of that season. So it is more development in the first season, but the second season is where you really feel the fruits of that development, I think, and just get to enjoy hanging out with them. If you like those characters. And I don't think any of them is like particularly likable by themselves. Like, I think like I really like Ritsu and Yui. They're my favorite personalities in the show, but also they are so much strengthened by their duo nature. Kind of like Power and Denji from Chainsaw Man. It's a really similar dynamic. It's like one's the true idiot and one's the like idiot because they operate on instinct, But I like that dynamic a lot in both shows. All right, we got another super chat. Cosmic Blue with another $10. Thank you so much. Please discuss the gender war, the generational divide, the blinding nature of hate, and how these things spiral together. Sorry if that's dark, but I figured you'd have a lot to say on it. Alright, well, going beyond my other gender war, I talked a lot about the gender war in my Gender War Double Agent stream, which is one of my more popular live stream VODs. And basically, I look at it like, I think that anybody who puts a lot of stock into really any type of identity. Like if the way you identify is like it like comes up in everything you say, and then it always kind of makes me think that you're trying to use that identity to get away with being a worse person. And so here's an example of what I'm talking about. 2 years ago, I lived with my uncle and his wife that he was supposed to be divorcing. He told us she would never be around when we moved in with him, but she was around all the fucking time. Early into being around her, we got into like a whole ass argument where she fucking grabbed me by the hair and shit. Just a ratchet, crazy bitch. Little taller than me, big lady, you know. She rides horses. She's from Virginia. She's got a southern accent. She's a tough bitch. She'd been in fights growing up. You know, her and her sister, scrappy, you know, farm girl, crackhead energy, ratchet Virginians, right? So this woman all the time would do this thing where she would make a mistake and then be like, oh, well, you know, I am a woman. Right, Beatrice? And I'd always be like, I don't do that. Like, that's not a problem I have. And I know that you think you can say that's because I'm trans, but actually, um, I don't think other women do that either. Haven't met other women who do this thing that you're saying that you do because you're a woman. I actually know, I can name 10 women right now who would be offended that you said that, you know? Like, so it's those types of people who, like, they want the gender war to exist because it's how they get what they want. You know, they don't want to think that men and women are literally supposed to be treated equal, you know? And if you do think men and women are supposed to be treated equally, then like which one you identify with only matters very circumstantially, you know, not even identify, but like you know, on any level, whatever like sex parts you have, whatever like gender performance you do, it's again, all of it matters super circumstantially. So yeah, I just think people put a lot of stock in it because they're almost always because they're running away from something, either behavior they want to excuse based on their gender, or they are just like considering how masculine that woman in particular acts. You know, like she kept blaming all these things on femininity so that she would be able to reify the fact that she is a woman, while meanwhile being just a way more like rough person than I am. You know, so I'm looking at her and I'm like, I don't know, you seem insecure about being a tomboy. Like, I don't think she was like trans or anything. She was also really like she was constantly talking about, well, I have a lesbian best friend, so it's not like I don't like gay people. But also the reason that we got into that fight that time is because I had left a shaving razor in the shower, like on a platform, and she was like, well, what if it fell and cut me and I got AIDS? So that was why we got into a big argument. Probably the most offensive thing somebody has ever said to me in person out of total ignorance. Now, all the age war and all that same shit, old people want to diminish young people to maintain power over them and vice versa. Um, Personally, I like to be very open about the fact that like in this world where everybody is like really like everybody who's trying to succeed is like you're going to become a target, right? And so if you become a target, you have to then become a fighting machine, you know? Like in order to succeed, you have to rise to the level of action that everybody else has risen to. But that doesn't mean that you have to do things the same way they do. And if you don't approve of other people's methods, then it's up to you to find another way to have influence, another way to make money, another way to gain power that doesn't require you to do the things that you disrespect about the other people who've done that, you know? Um, so like I think everybody kind of naturally is going to use the tactics they see other people using for their own side. And so, you know, I go really hard on pro LGBT just in general, but it's not because I'm like friends with every LGBT person, or think that like everything that every LGBT person says is logical or whatever. It's like I understand that there is some level of team sports we have to play here, and the bottom line is people hate LGBT people, and I'm one of them. Whether or not I personally like think that that identity matters, like whether I think I've always told people I'm LGBTNQ and plus, like there's not one of those I can't on some level justify the idea that I am that to the extent anybody else can. So I look at it and I'm like, I don't know. I don't couch much in that identity. Like I call myself transgender so that you understand why there's like both, a beard and tits. I think if I passed well enough that I didn't have to let you know I was transgender, it probably wouldn't come up. But like I've been a public figure since pre-transition, so it's always going to come up. It's always going to be a part of who I am. I cannot escape being transgender. So like as long as that's something that people are going to try to weaponize against me, I have to try to weaponize it back against them. It's not that I think these are the right ways to do things. It's just the way that there is, And so I'm willing to be the cutthroat, angry queer that I have to be to keep myself alive, not because I super care that you call me a transgender or the correct pronouns, but because I super care that I don't get fucking attacked, for being and for people knowing that I'm trans, for being inescapably a transgender person, So, um, yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And that answers that rant. So if anybody wants me to rant about anything else, I saw somebody got banned and I didn't see what they said, which is good. I don't like seeing what they say if it's shitty. Look at all those messages that had to get deleted from you getting banned. That's a mental disease, dude. You gotta really, really calm yourself. You do not need to type that many messages in a row. I've been away for like a couple years. What are your pronouns? She, her. She's a lady.
I forgot about it. I was gonna look at it when I got.
Front door. We've got this alarm system in the house that lets you know every time a window or door opens with a very loud voice that you cannot make quieter. The Pusha with Australian $10. Read more helicopter. Oh boy, you're back to make me do it again. Guess what? It's open right here on my laptop. I was prepared for this. I was ready for this. I don't know if the audience is ready for this, but I was ready for
Not
this.
even a scratch.
Okay, we're gonna do another segment. We're like halfway through, I think, of I sexually identify as an attack helicopter. I read the first half of this last night on, what was the stream called? What Do Artists Want? Lapusha kept paying me to read more of it, and now they're doing it again. So here we are. Probably going to keep happening till it's over. I don't know how Lapusha can afford to do this, but they are very insistent that this is worth a lot of money. So I'm not going to question it. Barb, Axis calls softly. No, hold on. Barb, Axis calls softly. Your own voice always sounds wrong on recordings. Too nasal. Axis's voice sounds wrong when it's not coming straight into my skull through helmet mic. Barb, how are we doing? Exiting 150 knots north. Still in his radar, but he hasn't locked us up. How are you doing? I cringe in discomfort. Oh, I got the voices backwards. The question is an indirect way for Axis to admit something's wrong, and that indirection is obscene. Like hiding a corroded tail rotor bearing from your maintenance guys. I'm good, I say with fake ease. I'm in flow. Can't you feel it? I dip the nose to match a drop-off below, provoking a whine from the terrain detector. I am teasing, striking a pose. We're gonna be okay. I feel it, Barb. But Axis is tense, worried about our pursuer, and other things. Doesn't laugh. How about you? Nominal. Again the indirection, again the denial, and so I blurted out, "Are you dysphoric?" "What?" Axis says calmly. "You've been hesitating, acting funny. Is your..." There's no way to ask someone if their militarized gender conditioning is malfunctioning. "Are you good?" Hesitation. It makes me cringe again, in secondhand shame. Never hesitate. "I don't know." "Do you need to go on report?" Severe gender dysphoria can be a flight risk. If Axis hesitates over something that needs to be done instantly, the mission could fail decisively. We could both die. "I don't want that," Axis says. "I don't want that either," I say desperately. "I want nothing less than that." "But Axis, if..." The warning receiver climbs to a steady crow call. He knows we're here," I say to Axis's tight inhalation. "He can't get a lock through the gown, but he's aware of our presence. Fuck. Blinder. He's got his laser on us." The fighter's lidar pod is trying to catch the glint of a reflection off us. "Shit," Axis says. "We're gonna get shot." "The gown should defeat it. He's not close enough for thermal yet. He's gonna launch anyway. He's gonna shoot and then get a lock to steer it in." "I don't know. Missiles aren't cheap these days." The ESM mast on the Apache's rotor hub, mounted like a lamp on a post, contains a cluster of electro-optical sensors that constantly scan the sky. The distributed aperture sensor. When the DAS activates the flash of a missile launch, it plays a warning tone and uses my vest to poke me in the small of my back. My vest pokes me in the small of my back. "Barb. Missile launch south. Barb. Fox 3 inbound. Inbound. He fired," Axis calls. "Barb?" "Barb," I acknowledge. That was another chapter I couldn't honestly parse exactly. I mean, I get gender dysphoria and the heat of a mission, bad. I got that. There's so much helicopter lingo in that fucking story that I don't understand. I'm just like, okay, yep, I'm reading a bunch of military shit. I don't know what any of this shit fucking means. It's got that emotional whiplash thing going too, where like it'll really lay into like a normal, kind of dramatic, kind of serious tone for a while, and then like get funny for a second, and then kind of go back. It's odd. Justice with $2. Thoughts on the band Portishead? I know I've heard some Portishead, but I can't think off the top of my head what they sound like. We'll see if we can get away with. If I play it quietly enough, it probably won't get copyright struck. So we'll see what we can do with... What's a good Portishead song, y'all? Oh, you mean Portishead? That Democracy poster's peak graphic design. We've had that shit since like 2003. Half those fucking logos are not the logos anymore either. Toys R Us is dead. Coca-Cola looks different. Oh, it's AT&T, right? That's what the O is? I don't know. I don't know if it's a company that starts with an O, and I just don't know it. I don't know if that's a open company. I'm surprised I don't know it. When I was a kid, I barely understood this poster, but now I understand it completely. The song Mysterions off their first album, Dummy. Portishead. Have I talked with Oki since the Void Gazers episode? Only through tweets. But I would very much like to talk to him again. He's a cool ass dude. He makes some of the best content on YouTube. We will do a YouTuber recommendation thing later in this stream. And you'll be able to recommend me YouTubers through Super Chat. I mean, I guess you can do that at any point, but there will be a whole segment just for YouTube recommending in this stream. If nothing goes wrong and I end up ending it early for reasons or whatever. Alright, I'm gonna try to make this song audible. Am I connected to Bluetooth? Does this song have a long intro or anything like that? Why am I not hearing it? I don't hear it. I know I've heard stuff from this album before. I'm struggling to remember what they sound like. I'm gonna figure out my audio devices real quick. That's the wrong button. Oh, why does it take so long to open settings? What the fuck? It should be instantaneous. It should not be something I'm waiting on. Output device. Seems correct. Let's try using another thing. Maybe this video had its audio disabled or something on YouTube. Doesn't seem like it. Well, for reasons unknown to me, my computer does not seem to want to output audio at the moment. I guess I could just restart the computer. It's not doing anything about the stream right now, so. Alright, we'll talk more about Portishead after the fucking computer over there restarts. I don't know the new Gibbons. Beth Gibbons, I don't know her. Am I still a Monogatari fan? I just haven't watched any of it since 2014, so not in particular. I remember it being good. Well, maybe I've rewatched the first show since then. I can't even remember. If you want me to watch Monogatari, try to get Bird into it. If you somehow get Bird into Monogatari and he ends up wanting to watch all 120 episodes or whatever, then I would watch it with Bird. But I can't imagine I'm going to want to watch it myself because it's so fucking long. Alright, let's see if we can listen to some fucking Portishead now. I wouldn't wish Monogatari on my worst enemy. Damn, Ellen. Portishead. Wait, is it already? No. It still seems like my audio is not coming through, though. Is it because of the zoom or something? Is this doing something to it? I don't want to de-zoom. I like my zoom. Can't figure out why there's no audio. Let's try unplugging this extra monitor. Nope. How incredibly strange. I brought this laptop here mostly to be able to play audio off of it, and it's not emitting audio. Maybe I could hook it up to a speaker. Maybe another speaker will work. Maybe it's just a problem with the built-in. How the fuck does this thing work? Troubleshooting my stream, baby. Troubleshooting my stream. Troubleshooting my stream, baby. Troubleshooting my stream. Troubleshooting my stream. Troubleshooting my stream, baby. This is a weird ass fucking speaker. It seems to be on and plugged in. Let's see if it works. hearing anything right now. These things are called JBL Pebbles. They are not outputting sound. This is a weird problem, right? Anybody know what the fuck might be going on here? You got an idea? Upskirt action, uh-oh. I'm not even wearing a skirt, so I don't know how that happens. Okay, why can't I hear this fucking video? Oh, it's muted, that's why. It's muted on YouTube. But did that change anything? Let's see. Am I on the wrong? No, I'm on the correct.
We're missing energy.
Well, I got it to come out of the TV.
You know, like what rap music is.
I want to come out of these speakers I plugged in now. Whatever, I guess I don't fucking need them.
Or Instagram reel. Nobody is making me stop and go, oh my god, until this verse. That's why I love rap beat. I love seeing two gladiators just go at it, fight each other in front of the world to see, strictly off
I
words.
don't. Stop it. It's Portishead time. I don't remember the name of the song you wanted. It's on this. Okay, it's the first song. Perfect. Yo. Hey. Beat the style and the kids checking for it. The number one question is how could you ignore it? It dropped right back in the cut over basement tracks and rap stats. Got you dropping the sack like the one that is just roll with the rhythm and rise from the ashes. A stylist division with these non-stop lyrics of life living, not to be forgotten but still unforgiven. And in the meantime, there are those that want to talk this and that. So I suppose that it gets to a point where feelings gotta get hurt and get dirty with the people spreading the dirt. Come on, try to give you warning, but everyone ignores me. Told you everything loud and clear, but nobody's listening. Talk to you so clearly, but you don't want to hear me. Told you everything loud and clear, but nobody's listening. I got a heart full of pain, head full of stress, head full of anger held in my chest, and everything else is a waste of time. I hate my rhymes, I hate everyone else's more, and I'm riding on the back of this pressure. Guessing that it's better I can't keep myself together, because all of this pain gave me something to ride on. The hate gave me something I could put my sights on. I'll never forget the blood, sweat, and tears, the uphill struggle over years, the fears and trash talking to the people it was to, and the people that started it just like you. Try to give you warning, but everyone ignores me. Told you everything loud and clear, nobody's listening. Come to you so clearly, you don't want to hear me. Told you everything loud and clear, nobody's listening. Heart full of pain, head full of stress, nobody's listening. Hand full of anger held in my chest, nobody's listening. Yeah, alright. It's a mashup. That's how we get it past copyright, hopefully. I would say that's Fly. It's sick. It's cool. It's a little dreary, a little delirious for me, you know. I would say it would be easier for me to listen to if I was rapping on it. So, is rap my favorite music genre? I don't think I have a favorite music genre, but if you really want a detailed answer, you gotta super chat about it. I'm only giving serious, detailed answers to people that give me serious, detailed dosh. Look at this little cat statue. This is like in Uncharted when you're like examining the thing, or Tomb Raider, when you're like manipulating the objects you pick up to see if they've got secret extra codes on them or whatever. I saw a super chat appear. The Pusha with Australian $5 more helicopter, you knew that. Of course. I have a feeling we're making it to the end of this story. Alright. Oh fuck, I closed out the tab, so I'm gonna have to get that back. Open on that monitor. I'm a big dog, big bear, yeah, I'm a lion. I'm the predator of the prey that is hiding. Oh my, I have found you. Don't you run from me. You are not fast enough. You are not brave enough. You are out of luck. Now it's time for you to die very rough. Okay, it'd be faster for me to just type this back in, I guess. I identify as a attack helicopter. Okay. Here we go. I fuck. Oh, you want to know? Many of you at least. It's alright. An attack helicopter isn't a private way of being. Your needs and capabilities must be maintained for the mission. I don't think becoming an attack helicopter changed who I want to fuck. I like butch assertive people. I like talent and prestige, the status that comes of doing things well. I was never taught the lie that I was wired for monogamy, but I was still careful with men. I was still wary, and I could never tell him why. That I was afraid not because of him, but because of all the men who'd seemed good like him at first, and then turned into something else. No one stalks an attack helicopter. No slack-eyed, well-dressed drunk punches you for ignoring the little rapey slurs at your neckline. No one even breaks your heart. With my dopamine system tied by the reassignment surgery fully assigned to mission behavior, I can't fall in love with anything except for my own purpose. Are you aware of your body? Do you feel your spine when you stand, your hips when you walk, the tightness and the mass in your core? When you look at yourself, whose eyes do you use? Your own? I am always in myself. I never see myself through my partner's eyes. I have weapons to use, of course, ways of moving, moans and cries, but I measure those weapons by their effect, not by their similarity to some idea of how I should be. Flying is the loop of machinery and pilot, the sense of your motion on the controls translated into torque and lift, the airframe's reaction shaping your next motion until the loop closes and machine and pilot are one. Awareness collapses to the moment. You are always doing the right thing exactly as it needs to be done. Sex is the same, the search for everything in an instant. Of course I fuck Axis. A few decades ago, this would have been a crime. What a waste of perfectly useful behavior. What a waste of that lean-muscled form and those perfect killing hands that know me millimeter by millimeter, system by system, so there is no mystique between us, no secret places or feminine mysteries, only the tortuously exact technical exercise of nerves and pressure. Oxytocin released, the flow between us by the press of knuckles in my cunt. When I come beneath Axis, I cry out. I press my body close. I want that utter loss of control that I feel nowhere else. Heartbeat in arched throat, nipple beneath straining tongue, and my mind is hyperactivated, free associating, and as Axis works in me, I see the work we do together. I see puffs of 30mm autocannon detonating on the night cold desert floor. Violence doesn't get me off, but getting off makes me revel in who I am, and I am violent, made for violence, alive in the fight. Does that surprise you? Does it bother you to mingle cold technical discipline with hot flesh and sweat? Let me ask you, why has the worst insult you can give a combat pilot always been weak dick? That was a pretty good segment. Bad Lula with 249 euro said, Euro, I think. Please listen to Congrats You Hit Bottom by Gospel. Oh, I know that song. That is a great song. Okay, do the music question. I'm interested, said Sarah Louise. Wait, let me go back to the music question so I can remember what you're talking about. Oh, is rap my favorite music genre? Okay, I'll do both of these. I'm not going to play Congrats You Hit Bottom on stream because I know that's a copyrighted song that I could get in trouble for, but I do like that song a whole lot. Gospel is like very dark, moody, screamo music. It's funny because I feel like the album I've seen them mentioned in the same breath as is Circle Takes the Square. And I think both, Circle Takes the Square and Gospel are both fantastic bands that take like really different approaches to similar things. So even though I can understand why like they're both screamo, they're both technical, kind of proggy, but like Circle Takes the Square is deliberately like messy schizo music, and then Gospel is like it doesn't have nearly as much vocals. It's not like poetic. It's more like just like raw technical, like dark proggy type sound. You know, I feel like Circle Takes the Square to me is like definitional borderline music. You know, it's just music about like the constant shifting about bathos. It's bathos music. You know, gospel. When I think gospel, the first thing I think is always, hey, you got a cigarette, man? Yeah, you know, I got one on you. I'm sure I messed up the lyric, but it's just him, like, you know, a voice somewhere way in the background, barely audible over the mix, shouting about wanting a cigarette, whereas, you know, Circle Takes the Square is, like, right in your ear, bored as fuck on this street corner, covers on a yellow face and a figure. And they got the poetry, you know. But both are really good bands. Two very different approaches to a similar kind of, you know, highly. Well, in gospel also they're just better players. Like Circle Takes the Square, I know they can barely even like play the songs they write. Whereas gospel sounds like they really technically know what they're doing. You know, not knocking Circle. I love the band to death, but they're not. They're not on the level of musicianship that gospel seems to be at. But yeah, Congrats You've Hit Bottom is that the bass line from the start of the song is legendary. It sets the tone of the whole thing so perfectly because you just lay in with it. And then the other stuff kind of starts coming in all wavy from the sides, and then it gets more and more chaotic as it goes. Really good. Before I answer Rocky the Robot Guy, thank you for the Sec 50. I'll get to that after I answer Blind Skywatcher, who sponsored Sarah Louise, who sponsored A.L. Soryu's question about is rap my favorite genre. So rap is the genre I care about the most. It's the genre I want to support the most, and it's the one that I'm the best at. So I would say I'm the most involved with it. And that has only gotten more strong over time, where I feel like every year I become more and more invested in rap. When I was growing up, I just, like, my parents listened to alt-rock radio pretty much exclusively. So for the first, like, 4 or 5 years of my life, most of what I remember is stuff that was on alternative radio or on Beavis and Butthead. Because we would watch Beavis and Butthead, and they played lots of music videos on there. So, you know, that marriage of cartoon and music video is very definitional to my childhood. Beavis and Butthead, one of the definitional shows of my childhood, because I've always been into cartoons, and I've always been into music videos. And, you know, that's, like, some of the oldest, like, one of my earliest memories, like, seeing Marilyn Manson with tits in that fucking, Sweet Dreams music video. On Beavis and Butthead. So, you know, I came up with alt rock with stuff that's more on the metal side. Um, Sublime's self-titled album is the one that I remember. Like if I were to put a finger on like what album shaped my taste the most, it's probably the self-titled Sublime album because of the fact that it drew influence from like everything else in its musical sphere. So like there's like borderline hip hop songs on on there. There's like the ska reggae influence stuff. It's like ska punk from somebody who listens to dub and reggae and also like can play the shit out of an acoustic guitar, can play the guitar like a motherfucking riot, as he puts it, and also is like interested in hip hop and comes from Long Beach, so like all of that kind of coming together on that album, and I grew up like the first maybe 8 or 9 songs on there I know I've heard like countless times because that's the first CD that my family had, like in a car with a CD player, and had the CD was the Sublime self-titled. So I wrote a long, in-depth analysis of it on my Substack, like early last year, I think. Um, so Sublime's whole sound is probably the biggest influence on me, and then Linkin Park was the first band that I ever truly loved, where it was like I discovered them, through the radio, but like I was the one who got into it. It wasn't something my parents just had the CD and played, or like wasn't there. It wasn't something anybody else in my family cared about except for me. And it was just simply hearing Chester screaming, "Shut up when I'm talking to you, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up," over and over again was like revolutionary to me. I couldn't believe a dude was just like a scrawny voiced guy was just screaming "shut up" over and over on the radio. That was a wake up moment for me, and in because of the fact that they were touring with all the new metal bands and stuff, through that, through seeing them live, they were playing with Disturbed and Slipknot and Papa Roach and Mudvayne. Aside from Mudvayne, I had all those CDs. Um, so new metal was a huge part of my upbringing, which again is just rap and rock combined. But on the heavier side. And like my mom is more into heavier rock music, so it was easy to play the kind of new metal stuff around her. She was huge into System of a Down from 2000 onward. So like that was a massive influence. And they also take a lot of influence from both alt rock, metal, and hip hop. Particularly if you ever were to listen to, like, System of a Down has a lot of songs that were not on their albums that like came out during the LimeWire days, or just on obscure projects, and they did a lot of hip hop like covers and collaborations. So like for instance, the song "Shame" by Wu-Tang, there's a version that has Surge on it doing all the Old Dirty Bastard parts, and it's just like a heavy metal version of the song that I grew up with, as like my first introduction to Wu-Tang Clan probably was hearing the System of a Down version of "Shame." Surge also sang on the Head PE song "Feel Good," which I've always been a fan of. So like just everything that I liked in the 2000s was like rap, rock, crossover type shit. And then circa 2004, when the Mars Volta came out, is when I got really into prog. And that was when, I was like Mars Volta, Tool, and Coheed and Cambria were the three bands that got me into prog, and then all of them cited all these classic prog bands as influences. So, and my cousin, my older cousin, who got me into a lot of the stuff that I've been into as a kid, he was always looking into all kinds of eclectic music online, like just kind of looking for stuff that's supposed to be good while doing acid, and so like all the weirdest music imaginable he had. So I got a lot of exposure to just weird music through CDs he left me with, and like prog and avant-garde shit and underground shit, and so that's what shaped my taste a lot. And there was a while where like post metal was like my jam, like the really dissociated, washed out rock music. The bands Isis, Agaloch, and Opeth were like my big three after Mars Volta, Tool, and and Coheed. Like me getting into heavier and darker music was like Isis, Opeth, Agalach was, and then I also got into screamo around that time through stuff like Circle Takes a Square, The Sound of Animals Fighting, Portugal the Man, who collaborated with them despite not really being like a hardcore band themselves, and eventually a massive pop hit band. Um, and then really what brought me back to hip hop, and I'll also say like hip hop, there was a period in like 99 2000 where I was watching TRL a lot, the MTV's TRL. So anything that played on TRL, I would hear it relentlessly, and there was a lot of rap music on there. So that's why I got into Missy Elliott, Eminem, Ludacris, anybody who made funny raps that like anything that was more like sexual or adult or club music, I kind of tuned out. And only like later in life, hearing those songs again, would I be like, oh yeah, these were great songs, like I just kind of was afraid of them as a kid because of the content. But like, because I've always been somebody who pays a lot of attention to the lyrics and the stuff I listen to. But all the funny rappers I was really into. And then as the years went on, I kept liking singles from those people. But I would say that like funny rap became more like crunk in the mid 2000s, like the Lil Jon type stuff, and that was still too much for me, at that time. So the only funny rapper I really remember, hey, welcome here, burger. I'm in the middle of talking about whether rap is my favorite music genre, and basically there was a period of time where like the only funny rap on the radio was T-Pain, and I really liked I'm Sprung and like The Lonely Island. But me getting into rap that wasn't particularly funny pretty much started with Kendrick Lamar. He's the first like conscious deep rapper that I became aware of because of a friend of mine posting "Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe" on Facebook in 2012. Yeah. Which one? Actually, I think it's just the switch. What's up, bird? How you doing? Big man.
Sleep.
I kept coming up there to check on you, and you were completely out. I was like, dang. You didn't even stir when I came up the stairs. I had another super chat I have to answer here. Rocky the Robot Guy with Sec50 says, what are your favorite aesthetics, and what pieces of media can we find, in what pieces of media can we find them? I really like that Homestuck, like, old internet, like MS Paint, but heightened aesthetic, that like Munchie and Ben really ran with in the wake of Homestuck and like their whole little universe. I don't remember what the fuck, Rowdy Fuckers Cop Killers, that universe. I like, and that kind of combined with my whole cluster punk thing, which is basically just like wearing as much chaos as possible and trying to make it vaguely feel aesthetic. So that's something I'm a fan of. I like Hig, the whole softcore, like, cottage, Swedish stuff, Japanese cute aesthetics, anything you would pick up in a Daiso store, Hello Kitty. I'm not sure, I don't like whole room of Hello Kitty, like when somebody's whole thing is just Hello Kitty, it just kind of feels like you're in a Hello Kitty store in a house. But I think, having some Hello Kitty touch is always nice. I like the aesthetic of this room, this kind of, like, stoic, serious, like, everything's kind of vaguely political, but not in, like, a punk way, in, like, a very, like, The Wall, like, symbolism kind of a way. What's another aesthetic I really like? I like cyberpunk. I would pretty much anything with a cyberpunk aesthetic. The further it gets from being exactly like Blade Runner, the better, because I can just watch Blade Runner, and way too much cyberpunk is just Blade Runner, but otherwise it's usually cool. I like Mass Effect's aesthetic, although I hate the actual graphic style of those games, just because the models look terrible. What's a cool aesthetic? Helldivers 2 is a cool aesthetic. It looks a lot like... Actually, Helldivers 2 is like all of the good parts of Mass Effect's aesthetic. aside from the cool alien designs, but like without all the just hideous human faces. I feel like there must be something I'm like really not hitting on, like an aesthetic that I'm really not thinking of. But generally, like the cluster punk aesthetic is usually my style. Anything Don Jolly has worked on, everything he always like has artists working with him to like create very particular aesthetics. There's a actually, if you really want the answer to this question, go to my Twitter and just look at anything I retweet because I pretty much retweet everything that I like the aesthetic of at all. And if you scroll through enough of it, I think you'll get a sense of what my aesthetic taste is like relatively quick because I do try to maintain like a kind of a branding through retweets. Um, I have to pee. I'm gonna go pee. I'm gonna sit in silence with Bird here. But I'm not gonna put him on camera. You just gotta know he's there. You hungry?
Yeah.
Do you want to cook something or do you want to get something? We could make a chicken fried rice because we have that rice that we saved to make fried rice with. Apparently, you're supposed to use day-old rice, or in this case, 2-day-old rice to make your fried rice. I've made $45 so far on this stream. It's going pretty good. Does vegan macaroni taste strange?
Our mom has told us that all vegan mac sucks.
It's always different every time she makes it because I've tried their vegan mac a bunch. This one, I took a bite and I immediately covered it in salt and pepper. But
Well, yeah.
I don't know how to describe the way it tastes. It does not taste like cheese. Would you prefer if I end the stream to help you make dinner or stream you making dinner? Hey, I'm gonna. Lapusha just gave me another Australian $5 to read more of this I identify as a attack helicopter story.
Stop. What?
This person has paid me bit by bit to incrementally read every single segment of this I identify as an attack helicopter story. You know, I just got another $5, so we're gonna go do another few paragraphs of this thing here. We're getting close. Eventually this will be over. One day. Pretend I'm reading this to Bird, who probably will not enjoy it, but, you know, it is what it is. Well, this segment's longer. I'm only gonna do half of it. Have you ever been exultant? Have you ever known that you are a triumph? Have you ever felt that it was your whole life's purpose to do something, and all that you needed to succeed was to be entirely yourself? To be yourself well is the wholest and best feeling that anything has ever felt. It is what I feel when I am about to live or die. Well, what do you mean by about to live? You're always living. The werewolf's missile arches down on us, motor burned out, falling like an arrow. He is trying a shoot-on prospect attack. He cannot find us exactly, so he fires a missile that will finish the search, lock onto our heat, or burn through our stealth with its onboard radar, or acquire us optically like a staring human eye, or at least make us react. Like the catcaller's barked hay to evoke the flinch or the huddle, the proof that he has power. We are ringed in the vortex of a dilemma. If we switch off the stealth gown, the werewolf fighter will lock its radar onto us and guide the missile to the kill. If we keep the stealth system on, the missile's heat seeker will home in on the blazing plasma. I know what to do. Not in the way you learn how to fly a helicopter, but the way you know how to hold your elbows when you gesture. A helicopter is more than a hovering fan, see? The blades of the rotor tilt and swivel. When you turn the aircraft left, the rotor deepens their bite into the air on one side of their spin to make off-center lift. You cannot force a helicopter or it will throw you to the earth. You must be gentle. I caress the cyclic. The Apache's nose comes up smooth and fast. The Mojave horizon disappears under the chin. Axis's gasp from the front seat passes through the microphone and into the bones of my face. The pitch indicator climbs up towards 60 degrees, ass down, chin up. Our airspeed plummets from 150 knots to 60. We hang there for an instant like a dancer in an oversway. The missile is coming straight down at us. We are not even running anymore. And I lower the collective, flattening the blades of the rotor so that they cannot cut the air at an angle, and we lose all lift. We fall. All right, we're gonna leave it there. That's a good cliffhanger.
Is the person who identifies as an attack helicopter in an attack helicopter?
Yes. Well, they're like. I think the idea is that the government has like reprogrammed them to feel like their gender is like their performance of gender is to be an attack helicopter pilot in such a way that you feel as though you are one with the attack helicopter. Essentially, it's a very weird story. It's kind of a shitpost for the most part, but it's also sort of like an erotic fiction about like fucking / being a helicopter and fucking yourself. I think that's more how I would put it.
Nick Rekieta did one of the funniest things he possibly could.
Oh yeah, what did he do?
He gave Ralph the exclusive interview.
Oh my god. Has it already happened?
I don't know. But someone posted that in the Dick Show Facebook group, and Eric Wong said, "I can't wait to ignore it like everything else Ralph has ever done."
Sounds right. Oh man.
Oh, it's gonna be really funny.
I wonder what Ralph offered him for the exclusive interview.
Genuinely think it's probably the best person that could do it.
That might be true.
Who else has been to jail and endangered their children? No, I'm joking. Sorry.
God damn. Zinger. Reminder that Jeremy the Quartering's face is hyper fuckable.
You saw that Frog Tony right now is doing a stream called "Is the Quartering in the Closet?"
Oh, good. Frog Tony's on board. Let's go. Let's go. He must have seen. Did you hear my rap at all earlier? Or have you heard my...
I sure did. I definitely did hear your rap earlier.
You want to hear it again?
I don't know. I think that might ruin the efficacy of having listened to it the first time, which I definitely did.
Alright, let me tell you about it. Tell me how you feel about these bars. If you think this is a tight 8, just like Jeremy's face. Jeremy the Quartering, his face is so dick-watering. I want to see a semen stream across that streamer's forehead. So pretty-eyed, imagine if he looked up with you with your dick inside his mouth, that little hole so tight and warm, I'm gonna come just at the thought. He's a thought. His videos are written by a bot. He's an op, compromised and caught. He's a cop. Jeremy the Quartering's a faggot with a need for cock. If he lost a couple pounds, he'd pass better than me, full stop. needs to shave his shitty beard and go gay. And the trans community should get so very fucking laid. She should trade in her fake opinions and get a new set. Everybody knows she's fake and gay, just like her fans, I bet. What do you think about that? Neato? Alright, cool. Bird approves. I have to make sure that I read all my sus bars to Bird so he doesn't think that I'm trying to fuck Jeremy the Quartering in anywhere but the face. I mean, it'd be even more fun to watch you fuck Jeremy the Quartering in the face, but I don't know if you're into that. I don't know if that's something you're looking. You know, you're not trying to. Okay. I'll find somebody. I'll find somebody who wants to fuck Jeremy's face so I can tape it.
Barr responded to you.
No, I didn't. Do I care? What did he say? I said all I know him for is acting gay. Or seeming gay. I think that's the phrase I used. ...
And I don't know you at all, comma, abnormal weirdo. What a clapback.
You should.
He knows who you are.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Matt Barr is such a quivering pussy. Like
he is. Well, no, he's the gay one. The vagina is Mark Brooks. This is how I've distinguished the two. The only way I can keep track of, because their names are so similar. So, I've been saying, Matt Barr is the gay one, Mark Brooks is the vagina. Matt Barr is the gay one, Mark Brooks is the vagina. But maybe they're both vaginas. Maybe they're just a couple of quivering pussies, like you've said. I don't know. It's hard to judge from a distance, because these guys, they run away. You know, they're the types of people who they find out that somebody they're scared of is at a con, and then they leave that con because, I don't know, they think they're gonna get their ass beat or something. Like, you must really deserve it if you think it's coming that badly. That you're like running away in like a public forum where you would think that if someone came up and socked you in the face, that you would take that as an easy W, like culturally, like use that as a way to get a lot of sympathy or whatever, but I don't know.
So hang on. Apparently, the judge that gave the warrant for Rekieta, 2 days before he gave the warrant for Rekieta, was shown a video of Rekieta shitting on the judge, which is a huge conflict of interest.
Yeah, shouldn't that mean he can't take that case?
Yeah, it also means he shouldn't have signed the warrant.
There's a lot of fucky shit going on with that fucking case, with them trying to get him. Lapusha says I have to finish this segment.
Fuck off. It's
Well,
too long.
It's also
Oh,
45
okay.
dollars.
Sorry. I thought she was just saying.
Alright. Let's see here.
Oh my god, Kiwi Farms, man.
There's a sentence I've heard a few times.
So, considering they didn't find any 22 long rifle weapons in the home, how likely is it that he actually used the gunpowder from those 22 casings in a mix with cocaine to inject it? What?
What the fuck? What are they talking about? Nobody's injecting gunpowder. And wait, did he say mixing
the
it with
cocaine
coke
with the
to
gunpowder.
inject it? Who
Kiwi-
injects coke?
Well, hey, well, that is a thing that happens. Kiwi Farms, they really know drug use.
Injecting coke mixed with gunpowder. That's gotta be bait, right? I hope that's bait. I tow the rudder. The tall rotor yields a little of its purpose, which is to counter the torque of the main rotor. And that liberated torque spins the Apache clockwise, opposite the rotor's turn, until we are nose down 60 degrees, facing back the way we came, looking into the Mojave Desert as it rises up to take us. I have pirouetted us in place. Plasma fire blows in wraith penance as the stealth system tries to keep us modest. Can you get it? I ask. Axis. I raise the collective again, and the rotors bite back into the air. We do not rise, but our fall slows down. Cyclic stick answers...
That is a Buzz Lightyear-ass sentence.
Cyclic stick answers to the barest twitch of wrist, and I remember once how that slim wrist...
Lapusha found a genius way of getting through Trixie's no consuming media for super chats rule.
It's different if it's reading, I guess.
Lapusha, to reiterate, to be clear, it's not that they were using cocaine for gunpowder. It's that they were...
the accusation is that they were cutting...
They were opening the bullets and then mixing the cocaine with gunpowder to
gunpowder.
inject it.
How
I've
does
never
it
heard
help
of
you
this
inject
before.
it? I don't understand how they think that like makes it easier or something, or like I've never heard of it. That's definitely for sure. Oh boy. Okay. I'm reading.
Are you reading?
Yeah. I am remembering even as I pitch the helicopter back and we climb again, nose up, tail down, scuttling backward into the sky while aimed at our chasing killer. Axis is on top now, above me in the front seat, and in front of Axis is the chin gun, pointed 60 degrees up to heaven. Barb, the helicopter whispers like my mother in my ear. Missile 10 seconds. Music? Glare? No. No jamming. The werewolf missile will home in on jamming like a wolf with a taste for pepper. What the
What
fuck
does
does that mean? Does a wolf get a taste for pepper and then can't
The
stop?
Kiwi Farms read this.
Hold on, I want to know. I'm gonna Google that phrase and see if that's like a thing. Like if wolves just like get into peppers and then are like, what animals can taste spicy food?
Hey, quick question.
The shrews.
In Fury Road, why is Max on the front of a car? Like, how'd they get him? What was he doing?
I don't remember. I think the comic, one of those like pre-story comics, explains
Okay.
how they got him.
Otherwise, the movie starts and he's on that thing.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently tree shrews are the only animal that can appreciate spicy food the way humans can. That's crazy. A fucking shrew. A tree shrew.
How come no one's built this guitar that shoots fire from Mad Max? I feel
I
like
think
that
they
would be
have.
cool.
I feel like I've seen something like that.
How come no one? Well, I can answer my own question there. Never mind.
Our laser might dazzle the seeker, drive it off course, but if the missile turns, then Axis cannot take the shot. It is not a choice. I trust Axis. Axis steers the nose turret into the target, and I imagine strong fingers on my own chin.
Sorry, Lapusha. No, they were not snorting gunpowder. That is what a random Kiwi farmer is wildly speculating happened.
Yes.
It is the
that's-
most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah, we're talking about things that the dumb people are saying because they're insane. Just in case it's not clear, anything posted on Kiwi Farms is not just not real, it doesn't even make
It's
sense.
performatively fake and doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
it's like bizarre and insane, the stuff that they say on there most
I mean,
of the time.
Kiwi Farms is like one of the funniest bits ever because they're all just pretending they know what's happening and creating this narrative that isn't true at all, and they all know it's not true, and I don't know why they still do it, but they're
I don't
just,
think they all know it's not true.
Well,
I
yeah.
think they're all like internet schizos who think that everything they read is at least somewhat
I
true.
was trying to piss off the internet schizos.
Oh, I see. I see what you're doing. I get what you're putting down. Pick it up what you're putting down.
Yeah, except you always
I'm
pick up what I'm
traveling to
putting
the
down
field
after
goal.
I have to tell you and you've ruined it.
Look, I'll carry that ball all the way to the field goal, alright? Axis steers the nose turret onto the target, and I imagine strong fingers on my own chin, turning me for a kiss, looking up into the red scorched sky. Axis chooses the weapon, 30mm guided prox AP, and aims and fires with the idle don't have to try confidence of the first girl dribbling a soccer ball who I ever for a moment loved. The chin
What
auto-
in the fuck is that sentence?
There's a lot of very tangent. This is a
This
very
reads
tangent
like
heavy book.
My Immortal. Is that the Super Smash Brothers one?
No, My Immortal's the Harry Potter.
Okay. I don't
Draco Malfoy one.
Oh god, what's the Super Smash Brothers one called?
Oh, you're talking about the fucking Subspace Emissary, the like endlessly long one.
Yeah, it reads like that.
I see. That's funny. I've never read any of that. The Chin autocannon barks out 10 rounds a second. It is effective out to 1.5 kilometers. The missile is moving more than 100 meters per second. Axis has 1 second, almost exactly, 10 shots of 30mm smart grenade to save us. A mote of gray shadow rushes at us and intersects the line of cannon fire from the gun. It becomes a spray of light. The Apache tings and rattles. The desert below us, behind us, stipples? I'll say of this person, they certainly have a large vocabulary. I'm gonna figure out what the fuck stipples means. Stipple in drawing, painting, and engraving to mark with numerous small dots or specks. Okay. The desert below us behind us stipples with tiny plumes of dust that pick up in the wind and settle out like sift from a hand. I'm sure sipples cannot be used that way. Got it, Axis says. I love you, Axis. Okay, there appears to be one short segment and one very long segment left. So we are nearing the end of this fucker. I guess it's all just about this one encounter, this one missile trade-off with this enemy copter. Yeah, as Ellen says, I will usually not consume media for super chats unless it's short or I receive a comical amount of money. But in that case, I will usually consume it off screen. It is true. I was given a comical amount of money to watch the first 3 episodes of 100 Girlfriends. And that was also circumstantial to the fact that I know JNES. First of all, I knew JNES could afford it because JNES has given me a lot of money on Patreon over the years. Second of all, I knew that they, as a longtime fan, at the very least thought I would have something interesting to say about the show, whether I was going to like it or not. And I hope that was true. I think it was true. It was certainly interesting to me that I felt so differently about it than Vic and Hope, who love it, and have been very insistent that they love it. So, that aspect fascinated me, but I cannot guarantee that it would be like, oh, if anybody wants a 3-episode test, just send me $100. I also knew it would be like a clip, I could take that clip later, upload it, which I'm sure will happen when I find time for clips again. I'm kind of trying to push, I guess I could edit clips right here on stream. I just kind of want to stream nonstop till the month is over so that I maximize what I'm going to receive on the 22nd of June. I truly am just trying to make it so my summer, because right after I get paid next month, we're going to go up to Philadelphia for Too Many Games. And that's Bird's birthday. Bird's birthday is during Too Many Games weekend. So I have to have at least enough money to get drunk that weekend. No question. Have to have enough money to get drunk. So, the more I make tonight, the more I will receive on the 22nd, shortly before I need to get really drunk at Too Many Games. Oh, there was somebody really cool who I'm going to meet there. Oh yeah, Regular Car Reviews is going to be there. So I definitely going to introduce myself to Regular Car Reviews at Too Many Games. I know there must be fans of Regular Car Reviews in here. I've heard he's a big furry, in that community and stuff. So I'm really interested to talk to him, see if he's ever heard of me, That guy seems cool as fuck. So that'll be neat. I won't say I've seen a whole ton of his videos, but I'm more into them now because I was completely, as I call it, car dyslexic until Bird. I want to say the first year Bird and I were together, he did not care about cars or trucks or anything in any way, shape, or form. But it was pretty much after we drove the Prius his old Prius through the desert on our way to Burning Dick, and we destroyed it, that we became really interested in trucks. And at first he was looking into Jeeps, because that's the obvious all-terrain vehicle. But then, through research, through watching endless car videos, it came to be that he knew everything about every car. By the end of a year, he knew everything about every car and was telling me all about them all the time. And I had such a hard time processing all that at first, because I was I don't know, a car's a car, it's a blue car, it's a gray car. I can vaguely tell the shapes. I had total car dyslexia. But we were driving all the time on these super long drives, seeing basically every car that could possibly exist. So once you start paying attention to the cars, and you start memorizing the cars and recognizing the cars, you eventually start to understand all the cars. And I think if I were to watch Regular Car Reviews right now, I would probably have a much greater appreciation than I've had when I first found out about him 10 years ago. And I was just like, yeah, that's sure. I guess that's what that car is like, you know. I don't know. Sure, I guess that seems like what the car must be. Anyway, super chat me some questions, and I'll answer more questions on this here Q&A stream. I don't know what happened to Bird. I assumed he had just gone to the bathroom. But he hasn't come back. Maybe he's still in the bathroom. I don't know. Maybe he went to go start working on dinner. I still don't know. Oh boy, LaPusha just gave the $20 to go finish the whole fucking thing. Let's do it. Let's do it, LaPusha. You definitely just bought me... Through this story, you probably funded a whole night of drinking. At the very least. At least a whole night of drinking for both me and Bird. Just the funding of this story was probably a whole night of drinking for me and Bird. So, that's really nice. When I say a night of drinking, I mean a night of drinking. I don't just mean like, you know, the beers I have here on stream or whatever. Alright, let's finish this fucking story. This will probably take like almost 10 minutes, given how much is left. So, strap in. Many of you are veterans in the active gender. You weigh the gaze and disposition of strangers in a subway car and select where to stand, how often to look up, how to accept or reject conversation. Like a frequency-hopping radar, you modulate your attention for the people in your context. Do not look too much, lest you seem interested or alarming. You regulate your yawns, your appetite, your toilet. You do it constantly and without failure. You are aces. I don't know if I'm aces, but I do a lot of that stuff. What other way could be better? What other neural pathways are so available to constant reprogramming, yet so deeply connected to judgment, behavior, reflex? Some people say that there is no gender, that it is a postmodern construct, that in fact there are only man and woman and a few marginal confusions. To those people I ask, if your body fact is enough to establish your gender, you would willingly wear bright dresses and cry at movies, wouldn't you? You would hold hands and compliment each other on your beauty, wouldn't you? Because your cock would be enough to make you a man. Have you ever guarded anything so vigilantly as you protect yourself against the shame of gender wrong? The same force that keeps you from gender wrong is the force that keeps me from fucking up. The missile is dead. The werewolf apostle is still up there. He's turning off. Axis has taken over defensive awareness while I fly. Radar off, laser off. He's letting us go. Afraid of our fighters? The mercenaries cannot replace a lost J-20S, and he probably has a wingman still hiding who would die too if they stray into a trap. Yes, Axis says. Keep the gown on, in case he's trying to bluff us into shutting down our stealth. We'll stick to the terrain until he's over the horizon. Can you fly us out? The Apache is fighting me. Fragments of the destroyed missile have pitted the rotors, damaged the hub assembly, and jammed the control surfaces. I begin to crush the shrapnel with the Apache's hydraulics, pounding the metal free with careful control inputs. But the necessary motions also move the aircraft. Half a second's error will crash us into the desert. I have to calculate how to unjam the shrapnel while accounting for the effect of that shrapnel on my flight authority and keeping the aircraft stable despite my constant control inputs while moving at 130 knots across the desert. Barb, I say, not a problem. And for an hour I fly without thought, without any feeling except the smooth stone joy of doing something that takes everything. The night desert is black to the naked eye, soft gray to thermal. My attention flips between my left eye focused on the instruments and my right eye looking outside. I am a black box like the Pear Mesa AIs. Information arrives, a throb of feedback in the cyclic, a shift of Axis's weight, a dune crest ahead, and my hands and feet move to hold us steady. If I focus on what I was doing, it would all fall apart, so I don't. Are you happy? Axis asks. Good to talk now. Keep my conscious mind from interfering with the gearbox of reflexes below. Yeah, I say, and I blow out a breath into my mask. Yeah, I am. A tightness in my ribs. Yeah, I feel good. What do you think we just blew up? A school? No, why do you think we just blew up a school? Why did I text my best friend the appearance and license number of all my cab drivers just in case? Because those were things that had to be done. Listen, I exist in this context. To make war as part of my gender. I get what I need from the flight line, from the ozone tang of charging stations and the shimmer of distant bodies warping in the tarmac heat, from 20 minutes of anxiety after we land when I cannot convince myself that I am home, safe, that I am no longer keeping us alive with the constant adjustments of my hands and feet. Deplete their skilled labor supply, I guess. Attack the demographic skill curve? Kind of a long-term objective. Kind of makes you think it's not going to be over by election season. We don't get to know why the AIs pick the targets. Maybe destroying the school is an accident, a quirk of some otherwise successful network coupled to the load-bearing elements of a vast strategy. Hey, I say after a beat of silence, you did good back there. You thought I wouldn't. Barb, a more honest yes than yes, because it is my name, and it acknowledges that I am the one with the doubt. I didn't know if I would either, Axis says, which feels exactly like, I don't know if I love you anymore. I lose control for a moment, and the Apache rattles in bad air, and the tail slews until I stop thinking and bring everything back under control in a burst of rage. You're done? I whisper into the helmet. I have never even thought about this before. I am cold, sweat-soaked, and shivering with adrenaline come down, drawn out like a tendon in high heels, a just-off-the-dance-floor feeling, post-voracious, satisfied. Why would we choose anything else? Why would we give this up, when it feels so good to do it, when I love it so much? I just have questions. The tactical channel processes the sound of Axis swallowing into a dull point of sound like dropped plastic. We don't need... I lost my place. Shit. We don't need to wander, Axis. We're gendered for this mission. We can't do this forever, Axis says, startling me. I raise the collective and hop us up 100 feet, so I do not plow us into the desert. We're not going to be like this forever. The world won't be like this forever. I can't think of myself as always this. Yes, we will be this way forever. We survived this mission as we survive everywhere on this hot and hostile earth, by bending all of what we are to the task. And if we use less than all of ourselves to survive, we die. Are you going to put me on report? Axis whispers. On report as a flight risk? As a faulty component in a mission-critical system? You just intercepted an air-to-air missile with the autocannon, Axis. Why would I ever get rid of you? Because would I ever get rid of you? Because I'm useful, Axis says softly. Because I can still do what I'm supposed to do. That's what you love. But if I couldn't, I'm distracting you. I'll let you fly. I spare one glance for the gray helmet in the cockpit below mine. Politeness is a gendered protocol. Who speaks and who listens? Who denies need and who claims it? As a woman, I would have pressed Axis. As a woman, I would have unpacked the unease and the disquiet. As an attack helicopter, whose problems are communicated in brief, clear datums, I should ignore Axis. But who is ever only one thing? If you want to be someone else, I say, someone who doesn't do what we do, then I don't want to be the thing that stops you. Birds gotta land sometimes, Axis says, doesn't it? In the Applied Constructive Gender briefing, they told us that there have always been liminal genders, places that people pass through on their way to somewhere else. Who are we in those moments when we break our own rules? The straight man who sleeps with men, the woman who can't decide if what she feels is intense admiration or sexual attraction. Where do we go? Who do we become? Did you know that instability is one of the most vital traits of a combat aircraft? Civilian planes are built stable, hard to turn, inclined to run straight ahead on an even level. But a military aircraft is built so it wants to tumble out of control, and it is held steady only by constant automatic feedback, the way I am holding this Apache steady now. Something that is unstable is ready to move, eager to change. It wants to turn, to dive, to tear away from stillness and fly. This is the most interesting part of this so far. Dynamism requires instability. Instability requires the possibility of change. Voice recorder's off, right? Axis asks. Always. I love doing this. I love doing it with you. I just don't know if it's right. Thank you, I say. Barb, thank you for thinking about whether it's right. Someone needs to. Maybe what Axis feels is a necessary new queerness, one which pries the tool of gender back from the hands of the state and the economy and the war. I like that idea. I cannot think of myself as a failure, as something wrong, a perversion of a liberty that past generations fought to gain. But Axis can. And maybe you can too. That skepticism is not what I need, but it is necessary anyway. I have tried to show you what I am. I have tried to do it without judgment, that I leave to you. Are we going to make it? Axis asks quietly. The airframe shudders in crosswind. I let the vibrations develop, settle into a rhythm, and then I make my body play the opposite rhythm to cancel it out. I don't know, I say, which is an answer to both of Axis's questions, both of the ways our lives are in danger now. Depends how well I fly, doesn't it? It's all you, Barb, Axis says with absolute trust. Take us home. A search radar brushes across us, scatters off the gown, turns away to look in likelier places. The Apache's engine growls, eating battery, turning charge into motion. The airframe shudders again, harder, wind rising as cooling sky fights blazing ground. We are racing 150 feet above the larger Mojave, where we fight a war over some new kind of survival, and the planet we maimed grows that desert kilometer by kilometer. Our aircraft is wounded in its body and in its crew. We are propelled by disaster. We are moving swiftly. There you go. That was I Sexually Identify as an Attack Helicopter by Isabel Fall. Essentially an audiobook in many parts, sponsored by Lapucia. The story was published in Clark's World magazine, but was removed because people who obviously didn't read it complained about it. Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, that story was as trans as it gets. Like, that was basically like trans writing 101. You know, like very much woke. So it would be really funny to think that people were complaining about it because they thought it was like making fun of. I mean, it is making fun of being trans in the same way that transgender comics does, but from a loving perspective, you know. And now we're done with that fucking story, so people can ask me about literally anything else now, and I can answer. Whew. Wake my fucking brain back up. Maybe we'll watch a video or something. No more Portisheed. I did promise I was going to do like a whole recommending YouTubers thing on this stream, didn't I? I had to get into that. It's going to take me to my subscriptions, you son of a bitch. Second Wind is live. Hot Diggity Demon was live. Getting caught pretending to be disabled at the Paralympics. That sounds fun.
Fernando had a problem. He was the head of the Paralympics committee in Spain, which is the Olympics.
It's not that loud. How do I make it louder? Is that as loud as this monitor gets? Uh-oh. I pressed the wrong button.
For people with physical
Whatever, this one's louder.
disabilities, but his team was. See, Fernando had a problem. He was the head of the Paralympics committee in Spain, which is the Olympics for people with physical disabilities, but his team was trash. But I need you to listen, because that wasn't quite his problem. You see, the fact that his team was so trash meant that he wasn't getting that much funding for the government, because they give more money to winning teams. But that still wasn't quite his problem. See, the problem was that he was stealing all the money. So the fact that his team was garbage meant that it was messing with his bag. He needed to figure out a way to fix that. And well, it seemed that he just had figured it out. His team started winning back to back to gold medals. Spain was dominating the world in the Paralympics. And y'all know what that means. Bro became basically a millionaire overnight. He starts owning all these properties and all that. All good. Well, not quite. Because
Sock Rabbit with $4.99 says, I keep hearing about a Discord, but I found no link. It is on the About page of the We Watch Anime channel. So if you go over to the We Watch Anime YouTube channel and go to the About page, you will see a link to the Discord that should be endlessly active. If it's not working, that means I have to replace it. But I'll go see if it works right now.
To the Paralympics for people with physical disabilities. Why? Because it's harder to determine what an intellectual disability is. For anyone who's seen the movie The Ringer, which, fun fact, is actually a pretty heartfelt movie, you can see how this can happen perfectly. Somebody could just walk in and fake their way. In fact, people have tried this many times. The Olympic Committee said, wow, Fernando, you're a pretty decent guy. Let's do it. Intellectual Paralympics, let's rock. Fernando said, let's rock. So this time he took it there. He decided to screw it and brought real deal hoopers. I want you to guess how many people in here have an intellectual disability.
Here we go.
If you guess
Right
one
here
or two,
on
you're
About
wrong.
on We Watch
Start
Anime,
coming up there.
inside of the paragraph.
Them boys is
There you go.
hooping. Dribble, twist inside out, dunking on.
Yeah, it seems to work still.
Referee said, golly, them boys go whoop, ain't it? The coach said, huh? Call the timeout. What's wrong with y'all? They said, coach, we out there whooping. He said, oh, I must got the team with the actual intellectual disability. They said, coach, what that mean? He said, they mean, listen, because I don't want to repeat myself. Look at the score. Tell me the score. They said, we up by 30, coach. He said, how many points y'all got? I said, 32. What that mean? He said, you could figure that out when they take you to prison. Anybody else want to answer? He said, oh, the other team got 2 points. Oh,
The reason it's not hyperlinked on that page is because it would make it so bots could get through it really easily. So, you know, it being in the text means that bots are not likely to
we got you.
activate
They
it.
took it down a notch, but still was smashing teams until they got to Russia.
And the reason it's so hard to access is so that people really have to be paying attention to find out that it exists and where it is.
But they still pulled it off and won the game. So they take a victory picture and everybody lives happily ever after. It's like stupid because here's where it starts to get wicked. People start looking at the pictures and go, hey, yo, that's my lawyer. Somebody said, what you mean? Someone said, that is my lawyer. They said, nah, just because he got an intellectual disability, nah, you tripping, man. Don't do that. Other people was like, damn, I don't know much about intellectual disabilities, but I mean, them boys look like they chopping it up. He was like, nah, man, y'all can't say that, bro. Come on. They said, yeah, I guess intellectual disabilities got nothing to do with. Hold on. Stop. No way. Ain't that Marco? That's Marco. That's my engineer. He said, no, hold on. This is going too far. We'll start getting recognized from the pictures left and right. Bro, right here, Carlos says, oh, nah, I ain't going out like that. Carlos comes out and says, remember when I told y'all I was a writer? The coach says, yeah, you did say that. He said, can you guess what I write for? The coach said, Harry Potter books? He go, nah, in fact, I write for an investigative journalist. Coach go, what'd you investigate? He go, Carlos comes out snitching. He tells it all. He says when they went to go party, they left the 2 people with the actual intellectual disabilities in the room all night. He says it wasn't just the basketball team. He said track and field. He said swimming. He said ping pong team. He said everybody was straight. He blamed it all on Francisco. He said it was all his plan and it all had to do with him. Now Francisco comes out and says, I ain't do nothing. I ain't got nothing to do with it. I'm too, in his words, big.
Fucking broken ass baby.
Stuff like that. It must have been the doctors and stuff. So they do a super long investigation. They stripped Spain of all of their medals, and they won like 107 medals. They go to Russia and say, here, Russia, since y'all was so close, we're gonna give them to you. But remember when I told y'all they were so close in Spain? They go, Russia, can you prove to us you actually have people with intellectual disabilities? Russia go. They go, okay. Do you at least have half the people on your team with intellectual disabilities? Russia go. Like, Russia, do you got one person with an intellectual disability? Russia go. They go, okay. We're gonna give the medals to New Zealand or Australia. New Zealand, Australia. Does anyone in the Olympics, bro? Anyone with intellectual disabilities? Every single team in the Paralympics goes. Olympic Committee goes and immediately takes off the category where people with intellectual disabilities can join in. See, the problem is people can toe the lines with intellectual disabilities. That's why they were separated in the first place. Now, nobody cheated as bad as Francisco and Spain. They had people with dyslexia coming in. Anybody could walk in and say, my reading level kind of sucks a little bit, but I'm sure you can find that. See, the problem was that they had no regulation. regulation each
Gary always with $5 says, check out Cyclonials Trailer 2 and Libely is Life. Alright.
The Olympics basically ignored the whole thing, but Francisco was facing actual charges. See, they highlighted the fact that Francisco was a teacher before all this, and as soon as he starts acting an ass, showing zero remorse. He also brings up the investigative journalist Carlos from earlier. He says, hey guys, by the way, Carlos was on my team for 2 years, reaping the rewards and
Cool pixel art. That looks awesome. That looks like the California shoreline. Almost certainly. Oh, is this is the new Andrew Hussey thing, right? That question earlier about aesthetics I like? That one. Post Malone poster. Oh my god. I can't stop thinking about the phrase posting a Post Malone poster on your wall that I'm almost certain some variation of will exist in this game. I assume this is a game. I don't know what this is actually. Looks like a scene out of Spring Breakers. They talking about troll romance? That girl looked awesome. Yeah, her. I love her. I don't know what it is about this that makes it just feels like it would be less cynical than Homestuck. The vibe it's giving is certainly a lot less cynical than Homestuck's vibe, at least. I also just think there's a general aesthetic level up here. Still got yaoi paddles. Oh, I still can't tell what the fuck the format of this story is, but it looks good as hell. I can't say there was anything in there that didn't look sick. Okay, it is a game. Oh, it's already out. Okay. Steam. Free to play. Maybe I'll do this as a stream at some point. How long this? perfect answer to my being existentially traumatized by a metaphysical dream visitor the day Trump got his winning votes in November 2016. I got straight up she-goffed, and it only took 8 years to not die about it, and now I'm a person who considers herself happy. I love when the free thinker propaganda to help people reach and navigate a lifetime of building psychosis is listed for free on Steam and helps keep me out of a mental institution for trying to explain the world in the context of religion and Fortnite crossovers so I can get to making comparably less verbose poems and touching grass. That was the first paragraph of the first review of this game on Steam. I'd say it's probably a game I'm going to end up playing. I might as well download it, right? Well, I guess you just click play game and it just opens. So. Oh, I'm not even signed in. Let me steam up real quick. Get steamy. Okay. Golden Witch Fire on Steam. Hey. Bet you didn't know you could buy games from me on my wish list. What is on my wish list? Tunic, still $30. Unsighted, Little Gator Games on sale. Lies of P is on sale. I know Bird said he wants to buy that and play it on stream. Rusted Moss, Hi-Fi Rush, Resident Evil 4, and Pizza Tower. Wow, I really cut a lot off of my wish list. I cut off everything I didn't think I might play immediately if I bought it. What do I have, though? I've got Helldivers 2. I've got Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I've got Pseudo Regalia, which I haven't played yet. And I've got Rainbow Six Siege, which I also have not even finished the very brief tutorial of yet. That's all that's installed on here. And Elden Ring. And Animal Well. Update? Yeah, update. There you go, updated. And I guess I've got Armored Core 6 also. I don't know why I'm talking about this. You can also buy Elden Ring for Ellen Horizon. Ooh. Elden Ring is still $60, or else I would do that. I would buy it for myself even. I have it on this computer, but it's Bird's copy. It's like a borrow system type thing, you know. But Elden Ring is still $60 because they know that Shadow of the Erd Tree is coming out soon, and people will pay full price for it. Why do I keep hitting myself? God damn it. Okay. Back to, I guess, watching other videos. Should we start up this YouTuber recommendation segment? Let's do that. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to talk about YouTubers that I think you should watch. And if you want me to check out a YouTuber, if you want to recommend a YouTuber, you just send a super chat along, and I will. I mean, it can be yourself. You know, you can self-promote here if you want. This is about to now be the recommending YouTubers stream. In fact, I don't know why I'm pretending like I'm using this microphone. Any of this, I'm not using any of this at the moment. Turn it a little bit more towards me. Okay. I think I'm going to change the name of the stream to recommending YouTubers. Or at least add it to the title, you know? Alright. 134 minutes. Starting at 2:14. 50. I'll just say at 2:15. Alright, so now it says updates and Q&A plus channels I recommend starting at 2 hours 15 minutes. Cool. Okay. Now let's recommend channels. Again, any YouTube channel you want me to throw on, send money, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'm just gonna recommend shit. Okay. Here's my big list of subscriptions. Alright, Second Wind is live right now. This doesn't need to be so goddamn big anymore, does it? That's probably fine. Can you read that? You can more or less read that, right? Alright. Second Wind is a large group of video game reviewers and commentary people who all used to work for The Escapist, and then the guy Nick Calandra, who basically was running their whole like media department, he was basically in charge of all of these video content guys. He got suddenly fired when they were doing their like assessment that month or year or whatever. The company and everyone else in the video department just thought that was completely insane because he had totally rescued it and like built it up into something that it had like built it to be stronger than it had ever been before. And they just canned this guy because the people in charge of the Escapists just weren't paying attention basically to what is actually going on at their company. So there was a mass exodus where pretty much the entire video team left following Nick and created a new group called Second Wind. I reported on this in my video about the death of Yahtzee Crowshaw's channel because Yahtzee Crowshaw was, of course, by far the biggest show on The Escapist. His show, Zero Punctuation, had been going for like 15 fucking straight years and keeping that website alive. And now it's Fully Ramblomatic, which was the original name of his blog before he was a YouTuber. And it's on this channel now. So Yahtzee's still around, still making several videos a week, still doing lots of live streams. And then there's other guys on here. There's like the show Unpacked and Cold Take. Both of these are basically like the same style of analysis videos that I do. Like the kind of stuff, the type of video I popularized, it's that type of video for video games, you know? The future of gaming according to PlayStation for Cold Take. Is the promise of Xbox Game Pass over here for Unpacked? I'd say Unpacked is a little bit more like, well, I don't know, they're both just very like journalistic about whatever's happening right now. They got bite-sized reviews for like shorter, smaller indie games. You know, Semi-Ramblomatic is also kind of more of like a general analysis series about games, not as much, you know, where Fully Ramblomatic is individual game reviews. They got a fucking movie show. They get all kinds of shit. So they're pretty good. Most of these, I don't really watch their lives because I don't think they have, most of them don't have interesting chemistry to me. At least I haven't seen a stream where I thought like I really wanted to see those couple of people, you know, hanging out. But we'll see if that changes eventually. Alright, wait, I subscribed to Portishead? How did I did not mean to do that. I don't remember doing that when we were listening to Portishead earlier. Okay. Vic and Hope, my brother Vic, and his wife Hope. They do gaming streams I mean, this channel had been dead for like a year until earlier this month, and it suddenly came back. So, it started with 10 days ago. Vic and Hope did a like 5-hour stream of playing Crow Country and I guess Animal Well. I didn't even realize they played Animal Well in this. And then the other day they were doing a all-day fundraising stream for the PCRF, which is Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, and you know, playing various games. I showed up in this one, the first part of it, from like 3.5 hours till 5.5 hours. I'm in there. But yeah, it was a good time. And then continuing on, the biggest problem in the universe, the wildest podcast show. If you're somebody who cannot handle like exceedingly not woke edgelord shitlord content, you will not enjoy this. I do not endorse or agree with everything Dick says, and certainly not anything Vito says. But it's incredibly entertaining to watch these two shit on each other for hours on end. They do it as a live show. It's like 3 hours long every week. Also, Vito streamed himself going to Golden Corral the other day. I think somebody asked me to rant about Vito's booty yesterday, and I forgot to. But it's a segment that they do at the end of each episode where Vito was supposed to lose 30 pounds in 3 months, and he barely managed to do it, and only to put the weight back on. So basically, to continue shaming him for not actually losing weight, Dick does a segment where if Vito gets on a scale, then he will get to have whatever is inside of the treasure chest that Dick has, which will either be something worthwhile or something really shitty. And so it creates this psychological mind game between the two of them where Vito's, trying to decide if he feels good enough about himself to try and gamble on getting something. But he's such a gambling addict that it usually works. So yeah, God, most of these are like 4 hours long lately. It has been very, very long. But a lot of that, the actual show is usually less than 2 hours. And then it's just reading super chats and building up to Vito's booty at the very end. And the Vito's booty segment is always like cherry on top, incredible. But they argue over big problems. I was on an episode called, I don't remember what it's called actually, but it's the one where I talked about my biggest problem in the universe was suicide baiting, or saying you're going to kill yourself. Let me find it. What the fuck number am I on? Is that before or after episode 100? I can't remember. I was definitely after Destiny, so I think I've passed myself. Here we go. Biggest problem number 120 with Trixie. Pulling the plug. Yeah, that's the one with me on it. It was 2 hours because right when we got into the super chat segment, I got up to use the bathroom and accidentally knocked an audio cord out, and it took 15 minutes to figure out what the problem was. So we just ended the show. So my episode is nice and tactfully short if you wanted to go listen to it. And it's pretty fucking funny. Has anybody recommended any channels yet? Reminder that if you want me to talk about a YouTube channel, send a super chat and I'll talk about it. I'll even play a part of it if you want. Like if you want a video you want me to play, just let me know. Or if you want me to rant about literally anything else other than this, let me know. Here's a channel I subbed to just recently, Professor Sky's Record Review. This guy is a doctorate professor who really likes rap music, and it's fun because he reminds me of myself in the sense that he's clearly from like somewhat of a ratchet upbringing and has somewhat of ratchet taste, but is speaks really well and is trying to be like a smart seeming guy, and so he can't help but come off as like a big dork, but also while talking about rap music. But what I love about his channel is that this guy is he's a doctorate who talks about rappers like they are smarter than he is. He talks about these people because he is unraveling the depth of what they're saying, because he really does understand how deep the metaphors go, and he can unpack it on this bigger social level. He's like, these people are geniuses, like this. Anybody who he's talking about, anybody who's writing at a level that he's talking about it, is a Shakespearean poet, and so it's nice to hear somebody with credentials who actually appreciates not just that like this is good, but that it's better than him. Like it's more brilliant than a doctorate because it speaks on such a deep level that it needs to be analyzed to be fully appreciated, while also speaking to so many people that it doesn't have to be taught in a college. It can just be something you hear and you learn it literally by ear, you know. So I really like that he is appreciative of that. His videos are very winding. They're rambly. They're unstructured. They're like one take. So you know they kind of feel like a vlog, and sometimes it feels like he's not really making points so much as he's just gushing about these albums. But you know he'll get into a lot of stuff that I probably wouldn't notice. You know, if I just listened to it myself, I didn't listen to his analysis. There's a lot of cultural reference points that I probably wouldn't get that he does. So definitely worth listening to if you like the album, or if you know. I had listened to this Vince Staples and this Rhapsody album, you know, the same day I think that he put out videos about them. So it's like, yeah, I'm on the same wavelength as this dude. We're listening to the same shit. So it's nice that he's talking about the stuff I'm listening to. And then, of course, he recently, because he blew up through the Kendrick and Drake beef, covering that beef. So, like, very newly becoming popular. But he did a podcast with my favorite hip-hop commentarian, The Company Man. The Company Man, actually, probably just my favorite journalist on YouTube. He is the person with the most serious journalistic credentials on YouTube. The person who does the most actual journalistic work on YouTube. I would say he goes further as a hip-hop journalist even than Super Bunny Hop did as a games journalist. And that is really saying something. Super Bunny Hop, I'll probably recommend him at some point, you know, but he is the greatest games journalist on the platform. So, you know, Company Man is deeply interconnected, really knows what he's talking about, really gives a ton of perspective. He used to write for Hip Hop DX, which is more of a general hip hop news site, and he did a show called The Breakdown. And on The Breakdown, he had a series, basically anybody who's a contender to be considered the greatest rapper of all time, he has a video about why, going really in depth. All of those are really great videos. I think that's a good starting point for, like, if you're trying to get into hip hop and understand what makes someone considered to be one of the greatest. Those videos will do a lot to make you understand that. All of his videos are just incredibly good. You know, he'd been inactive for like a whole year, and then this Kendrick and Drake beef just totally brought him back into the fold. And a lot of the clips you'll find on his channel are from this show called The All Out Show, which there's a guy called Rude Jude who's a really fun radio broadcaster who does a show on Shade 45, which is Eminem's Sirius XM radio show. Channel, I mean. So he does a show on that. That's just kind of a general talk show, you know, radio talk show, hip hop show. Rude Jude is an interesting character in and of himself. Definitely a gonzo type of a person. He's written a couple autobiographical books about just wild and crazy shit he's done and been involved with. But they have a segment where Company Man Justin Hunt will go on the All Out Show and just kind of bring in topics to discuss with Rude Jude. Those are always really entertaining. You know, I can't really listen to Rude Jude's show without him on it, but their interactions are really delightful. They have amazing chemistry together, in my opinion. So I love listening to those. This is an absolute on-site YouTuber for me, in a good way. Sorry, I realized that it usually means you're going to beat somebody up. This is if I see a YouTube video from them come out, I click it immediately. That's what I meant by that. Hey, I gotta go pee, so I'm gonna I'll just play one of his videos. What has he got in shorts? Well, I might have to pee for more than a minute. What's a short video? Well, this one's got both of them, so yeah, we'll put this on so you can be introduced to both these guys.
Necessitate might even be too strong, but you know, I think more than anything else is he's taking a lot of reputational damage.
Actually, I don't like how the audio sounds on that clip, so we're gonna go with. Wait, why do I still have that other monitor plugged in? We don't need that. Let's see. Short clip I could play. I really have to piss, so I need to hurry up and find this. Here we go. This is short.
Family matters. Let's say he didn't spend all his time trying, but let's say Drake kept it PG like he said he was trying to do on push-ups and family matters. Let's say he didn't spend all his time trying to dig up music on one of the most solid and private artists of this generation. What would that have even looked like? Could he have even done that? Could he have done that on the Hard Part 6? Let's say he just avoids all the ugly stuff and just gets to MC stuff. What would that have looked like? What could he have said about Kendrick? Maybe, I don't know, maybe he points out that Kendrick has a lot of phenomenal ideas second. A lot of phenomenal ideas second, and he's better at stealing like an artist than anyone of this generation, and sometimes it might feel like it's too soon to do that. Good Kid, Mad City was Boys in the Hood. We all knew what was going to happen when he got in the car. We knew how that album was going to end. To Pimp a Butterfly is a Roots album in a lot of ways. It has basically a similar flip on the intro to The Tipping Point, and it uses a lot of old fables just customized for Kendrick's point of view. Damn tells the story forwards and backwards, just like Lupe Fiasco's Tetsuo and Youth, which was only a few years old at that time. And Mr. Morale is a therapy album, a much deeper and doper versions of a lot of the themes J. Cole addressed on KOD. And J. Cole's original rap name is Therapist. Could Drake have pointed out all those things and made jokes about predicting where Kendrick Lamar's next album was going to come from? Dropping in September, Kendrick Lamar's Get Out. What happens when your life falls apart after fucking a white bitch in Copenhagen? Coming this summer, Kendrick Lamar's Big. What happens when a little man gets tall? Make it quippy and funny and point out that Kendrick Lamar has a lot of phenomenal ideas second. The idea is to chip away at someone's veneer. In this case, Kendrick Lamar's veneer is his music, since the only thing we really get to see about him is how he exposes the world to us, not on social media, not through grimy behavior that he puts online. We don't hear about Kendrick at the strip club. We hear about Kendrick winning Pulitzer Prizes. You have to chip away at that if you're going to go at Kendrick Lamar, in my opinion. Chip away at that. Take away this idea that he's this solo genius sitting in his room penning these world-class original ideas and thoughts. Imagination is the fun part in all of this, which is why Drake's the absolute loser and been appropriately branded with the colonizer tag. Drake can't do third-person storytelling, for example. He's talked about that in interviews. He's owned that in interviews over the years. He's amazing at read and react, but he doesn't have imagination. He can only talk about his own life, which is why he needs to be around Wayne and Ross and 21 and Future and whoever else to understand this culture enough to make hits. Which is why he's Elvis in his final form. He hijacks culture, waters it down, serves it back to us, and says, "You're welcome." That's why he's Elvis in its final form. Because he gets to say nigga. It's all happening.
Yeah, I love that guy. Doing this whole recommending YouTubers bit, though, is keeping anybody from super chatting me. So I'm going to stop doing it. And I'm going to play another interesting clip from him. Let me go see what Bird is doing and decide if I'm going to keep live streaming.
Social media has been flooded with memes comparing Kendrick and Future and Metro and Ye and ASAP and The Weeknd and Rick Ross to Marvel's superheroes, dubbing them the Rap Avengers, all teaming up to take down Drake. But perhaps that metaphor contains too much truth. Thanos' mission, after all, was to snap away half the population of the universe because he felt it was overcrowded. In 2023, in his annual letter to Universal, Lucian Grange slammed the current streaming model. He stated that he feels there are too many songs uploaded to streaming platforms, too many artists are eligible for monetization, and there was too much artificial intelligence. This year, though, he's championing AI, confirming Universal is heavily invested in the tool capable of getting rid of half the people in the music industry. He told Fast Company, AI at the service of artists is a good thing, but AI that is used to harm or prevent artists from due compensation is a bad thing. So our approach is to embrace responsible AI technology in a way that enhances human creativity. How is this done? By letting artists lead the way. That approach is at the heart of our collaboration with YouTube, as well as our partnerships with BandLab and others.
Yeah, my daddy got it.
Our approach is to embrace responsible AI technology in a way that enhances human creativity. How is this done? By letting artists lead the way. Well, in that sense, this entire chapter of Rap Battle World feels like one big AI advertorial, spearheaded by the biggest entity in music made palatable by Drake. Universal's
Alright, I'm ready to be done streaming.
Tools inside that behemoth's
bored.
balance sheet. Drake's too big
So,
to fail financially, of course.
we're gonna wrap it up.
Peers can realistically short his $400 million LeBron-sized deal, and he'll always have millions of fans around the world and essentially a decade of non-stop hit records. Non-stop hit records, and the entire country of Canada holding them down. Drake's not gonna go away. He's not gonna vote himself off the island. He's not J. Cole.
Y'all got my chin out.
But reputations aren't static. Reputations evolve. They can be chipped away and they can be rebuilt. Look at George W. Bush. W is the worst president of all time without question, and we know that because W broke the white streak to a nigga named Hussein Osama. That's how bad W was. Now he's a lovable old dude painting pictures of Putin. It can happen in either direction and no one's exempt. Anybody can lose cultural cachet, and that includes Drake. And that's what I see when I see all these titans going at Drake at the same time. A man who's been described as immoral, number-fixing, douchebag celebrity who calls the police on his homies, talk about their women in his music, shows a willingness to weaponize racism and treats gods, rap gods, as pawns in his corporate AI advertorial. You can't take away Drake's money or his fans, but can you chip away at his cool points? Can the rap Avengers cut into his cultural cachet? Can Kendrick Lamar finally and officially pack that boy up?
I don't have the answer to these questions.
I don't have the answer to these questions.
He always says that at the end. Alright, later.